myself and Tommy as my co-host. You know him though as the current host of the Tonight Show. It's Jimmy Fallon.
Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure you get through this experience in one piece. We've got the fabulous guy,
Sam.
and the greatest driver.
Tommy.
They're the best. I love them. Even though
Sam.
owes me $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
Alright, if you need any assistance during the tour, like you have a medical emergency, you drop something of value off the side of the tram, or you have any sound or video issues, reach up and pull the right safety cord, runs down the center of the ceiling. I will rush back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, just stay seated. Keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. There's also no smoking of any kind during the tour. But be prepared, the tour does feature loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, and water effects. You want your cameras out for great photos, but keep an eye on them so they don't get wet. And lastly, please do not use selfie sticks on the tour. That's it though. Make it easy for you. Alright, we're headed at our timeline. The movie posters you see on both sides of our tram here, they represent only a small handful of the over 8,000 different films we have made here since day one. Now, me, myself, I'm a big fan of movie trivia, so I'm going to test y'all's knowledge here right off the bat. I'm going to play for you on your screens a scene from one of our classic black and white films. Now, this shot here back in 1948. You tell me, what Universal movie does this come from?
I have the room ready for you, Mrs. Barrison. Thank you, Warren.
Did you hear that?
Okay, my father.
Mrs. Barrett.
Not quite, daughter, but she'll. Very, very soon. Hello. Yes?
Let me bottle of champagne sent to the room, please. And make sure that we are not disturbed for any reason.
Alright, you're all probably catching on here by now. Look at that man in the middle of the frame there, y'all. That's my co-host, Jimmy Fallon. Alright, this is not a classic movie. This shot pretty recently, in fact, inside one of our sound stages. Now, we have 20 stages that populate our movie studio. From the outside, they just look like warehouses. So here's one to your left. Big building there at stage 12, the largest of the 28. Since that's the biggest stage we have, we use it then for some pretty big movies. Look at these screens. All these iconic scenes that were shot there at stage 12. So we are driving our way through what we call the front lot of our movie studio right now. And I want to show y'all just how close to our theme park we are. Look over to your right-hand side. That's construction happening on the lower level of our theme park, as we are excited to announce that Super Nintendo World will be opening in early 2023 here at Universal Studios Hollywood. And you can find updates about Super Nintendo World on our website and social media accounts. All right, back to our studio though. Look over to your left-hand side here, folks. Right across the street, this giant white building. That's called the Carl Laemmle Building. It's actually named after our founder, Carl Laemmle, who created our movie studio here way back in the 19-teens. But that houses Universal Pictures, which means that's where all the big movie deals are done. If you made it to the top floor there, you've officially made it in the industry. Here's our second largest stage on your left-hand side, stage 14, everybody. A lot of big-time filmmakers, they like to use this sound stage. My favorite example, if I have any horror movie fans, back in 1982, director John Carpenter, he turned the inside of this stage into Antarctica. That was for his classic thriller, The Thing, starring Kurt Russell. In fact, he made it so cold inside that soundstage during filming, you could see the actor's breath on camera. Steven Spielberg also shot multiple scenes in there for Jurassic Park, the first one back in 1993. All right, look over to your right-hand side this time. This cluster of sound stages over here, this is what we call sitcom row. And this is where a lot of your favorite television shows of yesteryear were made. Shows like these up on your monitors. favorite shows in recent years. Up on your screens here, the NBC series The Good Place, starring Ted Danson. A lot of the Good Place shot to your right-hand side. This building, this is stage 19. But speaking of Ted Danson, here's your first celebrity sighting. On your left-hand side, it's Ted, the teddy bear. Star of Ted and Ted 2, y'all. Alright, if you're a fan of those movies, be aware that Ted the Teddy Bear, he's getting his own spin-off television show. He will be getting an origin story. But Ted is still here with the production bungalows. The bungalows you see, they're offices for big-time companies like Illumination Entertainment. They have given us films like the Despicable Me franchise, for example, the Secret Life of Pets movies too, which if you haven't yet, make that a stop in your theme park experience today, y'all. Where Secret Life of Pets is a ride, that's the newest one we have, located on the upper level, but it is one the entire family can do together. I guarantee it's not too scary. Let's see, we have offices here too for Mark Platt Productions, so they're hard at work right now to bring in their Broadway musical Wicked to the big screen. Now, filming has begun, and Wicked will be released in 2 parts. There's going to be 2 Wicked films. Here's a famous bungalow now on your left. It is number 5195. But I want you to look just to the right of the number. Very familiar profile of a man there in that circle. Look back at your screens. It's the profile of director Alfred Hitchcock. That bungalow, that was Hitchcock's office during the latter half of his career. To a brief stop right here. This stop sign is kind of an invisible line. It separates the front lot of our studio, that was everything behind you, from the back lot, everything down here in front of us. And it's out here in the back lot you're all going to see, where the world, it can be around any one of these corners. We film the big stuff out here. Whatever cannot be built or fit in these sound stages, we travel over here. So we'll take you first through our metropolitan sets. They're the buildings you're going to peek at now on your left-hand side. We're going to wrap around and we'll drive on through them. The buildings look real. I know they do, y'all. Remember where we are, though. This is Hollywood. Nothing is real. Even these buildings, we call them structures, facades, and shells. Now that just means they're the front walls, the supporting side walls, and a rooftop, but nothing on the inside. We don't shoot inside these buildings. We can't. We can't fit all the actors, the equipment that is necessary to film a scene. We only shoot on the outside of these buildings. So a scene involving maybe an entrance and exit, or just one taking place down a sidewalk or a busy city street, stuff like that. So as we wrap around now, take you further into our metro area, if you look on your right-hand side, you're going to see that some of the bricks and stone on these structures, they're chipping. Well, they're painted on there, you guys. These aren't real brick and stone. These buildings are made out of plasters, plastics, and plywood. It's all very easily changeable and moldable materials. And you're probably seeing off to your right-hand side down that road, there's a lot of production preparation going on down there for the television show Never Have I Ever. That show streams on Netflix, written and produced by Mindy Kaling. They do a lot of filming all over studio property, but they're using some of our areas here in the metropolitan sets today. What we're driving down right now, though, is called London Square. So you've actually seen these structures here as London for a lot of big movies like Disney's Saving Mr. Banks, starring Emma Thompson and Tom Hanks. But also the Austin Powers movies. Y'all, this was the swinging 60s London for the Austin Powers film starring Michael Myers right here too. But it can be any large city. You've seen these buildings as New York City for movies like Captain America, The First Avengers, starring Chris Evans. We've had 2 separate Spider-Men down here. Tobey Maguire, he was here for scenes in Spider-Man 2. And then later, Andrew Garfield, he was also swinging from webs around here for The Amazing Spider-Man. Let's see, we've used these buildings here as downtown LA for television shows like American Ninja Warrior. If you watch that series, they built the course for the athletes up and down here on these streets. Of course, when you watch this show, you'll still hear them say, "We are live from downtown LA." They are lying to you. They are not in DTLA, y'all. They're right here. We just make this look like downtown Los Angeles. They've been around for quite a while. One of my favorite comedy films, actually, The Blues Brothers with Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi. This is Chicago for that movie. Check it out.
When the Pinto fell and you saw it land and make this big hole in the street, that was on the back lot. We dropped it from a crane. You dig like that in Chicago, not a good idea.
When people ask me, of all of the movies I've ever done, what was the most satisfying or the most fun, I've got to say Blues Brothers. We got to sing, we got to dance, got to drive, we trained with the best stunt people in the world, and got to be an actor and a writer. So it was a good piece of work.
Danny called John America's Guest because just didn't walk into anybody's house.
During the shooting of the movie, John was missing, we couldn't find him.
Danny went off looking for him. We saw a light on in this one house and knocked on the door.
I said, sir, we're doing a movie down here, we're looking for one of our actors. Oh, John, yeah, he's on my couch. He came in, he had a snack a couple hours ago, he's sleeping. He was America's Guest, and he literally that happened.
Now the design, though, of all these buildings you're going to look at here, the design of them, it was supervised by director Steven Spielberg. He had a very big hand on the creation of our metropolitan sets. However, Steven Spielberg, he's not the only Academy Award winner who's made movies here for us. We've also had fellow winner and director Peter Jackson here. But Peter Jackson is now most famous on the tour for giving us our King Kong 360 3D attraction.
It's the original King Kong that I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I think that just away with real life, sweep around the Kong literally that's it. And you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when you first invited me back to Skull Island. And it's great to have you along for the ride. Now we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet. Just put them in your hand for about 20 minutes to Skull Island. We really put a lot of thought into the character and personality of Kong, and he's so much more than a monster. In fact, he's not a monster. You know, he is an incredibly majestic, ancient creature. He's a force of nature. He's old, he's wise, he's proud, he's fierce, and obviously he has a heart. The most important feature with Kong are his eyes. Kong's eyes are wonderfully expressive. They're full of emotion. His eyes are a window into his personality and his life. He's had an enormous number of encounters with his foes, the T-Rexes and the various dinosaurs on Skull Island, so he's been beaten up, scarred, chewed up, spat out by these dinosaurs at various times, and he wears the scars of a lot of ancient battles.
All right, y'all, so have your 3D glasses now in hand, ready to go. Peter Jackson will tell you when to wear them in a couple of moments. Just hold on for now. But also, hold on tight to all your belongings. Here's the deal. If you do drop something in here, I'm not going to be able to get it back for you. So make sure you hold on extra tight to everything you brought. And remain seated at all times. Here we go. Welcome to Skull Island. experience, I said, created by director Peter Jackson, with the help, though, of the special effects filmmakers over at Weta Digital. Now, if you don't know the name Weta Digital, I guarantee you, you've seen their work. They've done the special effects for movies like the Lord of the Rings trilogy, Avatar, Disney's Jungle Book Adventures, and Deadpool, Wonder Woman, and the list goes on and on, y'all. They're kind of a big deal.
The audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions. There's creatures coming at them. We're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side. Working on a movie, you always know looking straight ahead, they're looking at the shape that they're working on. They're taking care of the people looking in all directions. Also, one of the things about this, a lot of the movies that we're working on, there's no cuts. Because it's one giant shot, this tram that's driving along through Skull Island. This is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away.
The immediate creation, about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting them to the audience, it's a hell of a ride.
Now, you probably saw back there during our King Kong show, there was a moment when our tram appeared on those big monitors around us. When that happened, our tram became a picture car. So that would be any vehicle that you see on a screen for a movie or television show. And here at Universal, y'all, we have some of the most famous picture cars of all time. We're going to drive next to some now. Get those cameras back out. Here they are to your left on display. Some of our more famous movie vehicles. Get some pictures in the flesh up on your screens, too. Here's some of them in action.
Harry Potter, bye.
So we drove by 3 picture cars there from my favorite Universal franchise, the Jurassic Park movies. So it's time now. We're going to take you over and into that jungle island off the coast of Costa Rica. However, there is only one guy in the entire world who can properly introduce us, and he spares no expense.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I just can't compete with that, so I'm not going to. Keep those cameras out, though, y'all. We got quite a few more picture cars from this whole franchise down here. If you look over to your left-hand side, this is the mobile lab unit from the sequel, The Lost World of Jurassic Park with Julianne Moore. Look closely, though. It's made out of plywood, just painted to look like metal. We also do keep our dinosaurs from the movies here too, but not to worry, they're safely put inside these empty cages. Wait a minute, hold on. Oh no! Y'all I spoke to see those dinosaurs and the snakes. We don't know what got out there. Now, in all of our Jurassic Park movies, weather plays a really important part, all right? Weather helps to set a certain mood and tone for a scene in a movie. Now, in the Jurassic Park films, they're usually using weather to increase terror. It adds suspense to a scene. Think about it. The first time you see the T-Rex in the first movie, when does it happen? Well, it happens at nighttime, right? Dark outside, scarier. And there's also a thunderstorm going on. It makes it a lot more suspenseful. In fact, take a look at this scene up on your screens. This is from the sequel, The Lost World, Jurassic Park. There's that mobile lab unit that we just drove by. But I want you to try and picture this scene happening like right now. Middle of the afternoon, bright blue, sunny skies outside. Not nearly as effective, right? Also, on your monitors, I know it looks like this lab is about to fall off the side of a cliff. Guess what, though? That is not a cliff. That is one of our parking garages we drove by earlier on the tour, just dressed up to look like a cliff. That way, this sequence was a lot safer to film with poor Julianne Moore there in that movie. Now we can make that thunderstorm happen right there. I'm going to show you how now. We've landed in Old Mexico, and we're going to have a demonstration. Let's create a thunderstorm. Here we go. Thunder you hear comes from speakers. They're hidden throughout the area. The lightning that you see is made by strobe lights. They're up on the rooftop, so we just need some rain now. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, action rain. All right, just look up, y'all. The rain comes from a series of overhead sprinklers. It shoots the water up into the air, falls down naturally, looking just like rain. We even make the drops themselves about 4 times bigger than your average raindrop, just so these ones really pop when they're going in the air. That's it, though. 2 sprinklers, video gravity. Let that heavy lifting for us. I mean, there's really only one catch. You see, if we do keep the weather effects here running for, probably about as long as we have now. All right, take a look up that hill, y'all. I am so sorry. We're bound to make a flash flood. This is where you take cover. Big Fat Liar with XIAOMI, Amanda Bonds, and Frankie Muniz. Time to jump across the border now, take y'all into the heart of the Old West. These are 6 Points, Texas, one of the oldest areas here, but still used all the time. If I have any Quentin Tarantino fans, you probably recognize this straight from his latest film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, with Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. Featured in all the scenes where Leo DiCaprio's character is filming for his Western TV show within the movie, shot here. So let's take a look at these Western sets brought to life now in this classic Western with my co-host Jimmy Fallon.
This town ain't big enough for the both of us, Jimmy Fallon.
Well, I ain't going anywhere, Jimmy Fallon.
Now look here. Nice folks in this tram don't want no trouble. They just want to check out 6 Points, one of the oldest sets on the Universal line.
I hear this is where John Wayne and Jimmy Stewart shot a few of their westerns.
That's right. That's where I aim to shoot you.
Looks like we got ourselves a Mexican standoff. Lucky shot.
Now what say you mount up and get out of town while we're getting good?
All right. Well, I'll see you again, Fallon.
Oh, you can count on it, Fallon. Now get out.
Alrighty, y'all. So we are now approximately at the halfway mark. Want to remind you guys to continue to remain seated. And then the studio around us is private property. If you drop your phone, you can't wait to use the restroom, pull that red cord to get my attention. I'll come back and assist you, but continue to remain seated. Over your left-hand side, more of our sound status is over there. The 2 on the end, 26 and 27, the very first production to rent them out for filming was the Jordan Peele film Us, starring Lupita Nyong'o. So if you've seen the film, which I cannot recommend enough, y'all check out that movie. Everything that was happening underground, remember when they go down the escalator, there's all the white rabbits, that was shot in those 2 stages. The body of water here in front, though, also a filming location. That is called Park Lake. Now that became the entire Amazon River, a creature from the Black Lagoon. That is the lagoon. However, a lot of our earlier monster movies like Dracula, Frankenstein, The Invisible Man, well, they were made over here. Yeah, these cobblestone streets of Little Europe. But as we take you through our European sets, and if you, like me, are a fan of The Good Place, get those cameras ready, y'all. This is The Good Place in all 4 seasons of the show.
You and the show scope. This location of the afterlife. I have never ever seen this. You're in a good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. Humber's going to the bad place.
Maybe it's not all that bad. What is the bad place?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
your right-hand side. Stumbled upon a pretty special place in our history. Clearing to see here. This is our Court of Miracles, and that is the birthplace of the monster movie. Those titles I mentioned, Dracula, Frankenstein, the Invisible Mammal, they all have that one scene in common, right? When the angry villagers grab their torches, their pitchforks, and then they chase the monster through the streets. Well, that clearing is where they all took place, way back in the 1930s.
He's in the woods. Get out of that house. Raise all the men you can, lock them in indoors, and wait for me. I'm ready! Take your torches and go!
So y'all, it's really hard to explain to you just how important those monster movies are to our studio. They saved us from bankruptcy during the Great Depression of the 30s. During that time, a lot of other studios, like MGM, Warner Brothers, Paramount, for example, they were forced to sell off large chunks of their backlot real estate just to stay in the green. As you can imagine, it was very hard to turn a profit making movies during that decade. However, we did not have to. Our monster films were so successful, they kept our studio afloat throughout the 1930s, even into the 1940s and 50s after World War II. And that is why today, you will still find us remaking them. We are rebooting them, giving you sequels, giving you prequels. They hold a very special place in our history. Monster movies. But you know what, we've not only given you some of the most terrifying monsters, we've also given you some of the most terrifying movie creatures of all time. Look at your screens, guys. Here's some of my favorites.